I've spent the past few weeks trying to figure out how to redesign my game to make it more enjoyable. In Don't Stop You'll Die, you fight off waves of enemies while being confined to a single screen. With little variation on enemies, no bosses, and a small amount of different weapons and upgrade items to choose from, this was quite boring. When I first came up with the idea for this game, I wanted to make the game a roguelike, with level generation in the style of Binding of Isaac, which I experimented with a little bit and it just didn't feel right. I had recently been playing Hades and for some reason the layouts of the rooms felt so fresh to me, so I thought I'd experiment and try to make levels similar to that. I got started on working on room transitions, placing a door at the top of the main room and another at the bottom of the second room. Then using creation code I could define an X and Y coordinate for the player and which room the specific door led to. This worked somewhat okay, but I ran into the issue that if you killed all of the enemies in room 1 and then went into room 2 and back into room 1 again, the enemies would spawn all over, which would be a good way for the player to farm coins or even a high score if you wanted to. After hours of trying to fix the issue, I couldn't, so I just made it so that once you left a room, you couldn't return to the one that you just left, which was kinda gross. After taking a few days off from the project, I came back with fresh eyes and decided to try my hand at another form of procedural generation. This time trying to achieve similar results to the game Nuclear Throne. Much like the Binding of Isaac level generation, I also gave this method a go in Unity, but I found the results were way too claustrophobic. I started off small, keeping the room shape the same but changing the layout of the outer walls, and then continued to expand it further. At this point I got super stuck with it, but after a little bit of searching I stumbled across this tutorial by Heartbeast. This video went over the whole generation really well. The levels were feeling really nice and open, but even in the more confined sections of the level it still felt nice and breathable. But this led me to my first big roadblock of the generation: spawning the enemies in the correct places. This was such a pain to get working, and it's still not quite working how I'd like it to. Pretty much, once the generator has defined where the walls will be placed and knows where the floors will be, it should spawn the enemies randomly within a grid. But for reasons I still don't know, it would just completely ignore that. But with enough persistence, I got it somewhat better. The only thing left to do is to fix up the enemy collisions as well as some pathfinding, but I'll leave that for another video. If you enjoyed, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.